Hi, Gaye DeRusso with Majestic Rider. So today I'm going to talk to you about obstacles and trust. So when I have horses come in, many of them are afraid of different things. You see the bike. And what I'm trying to do is prepare the horses for the trail. So when they go out on the trail, they don't have problems. So I try to associate, look at Minnie. She's always doing stuff. I try to associate scary things. Or Tilly. Tilly and Minnie aren't afraid of that much stuff. But they had good care. Okay? So I try to associate scary things. You see they're not as scared of buckets, right? And that's abnormal. A bucket. The horses are not afraid of buckets because food comes in it, and they're usually not afraid of the hay truck because same thing, food comes in it. So these two are older. These one's younger, and the other one's been in pasture for a while, and then that one's got some fear issues. So this horse, she just doesn't understand bikes because she's young, and she just hasn't been exposed enough. And she doesn't understand baby carriages. And this other one, he's just been sitting in pasture for a while, and many horses are not ridden on the trail with baby carriages. But in California, we have them. So what I want to do is associate the baby carriage with food. Now someday they could eat a baby, but I don't. So I just move it around so they see how it moves. I put the top up and down. And so they realize when I open it back, because you know somebody's going to do that on trail, even if your horse is good with the baby carriage, they'll get up there, the baby will cry, and so they got to get used to it. Now, when the horse is okay with it, you don't need to give them food. Tilly's busy eating her breakfast, so she don't really care. Do you? You want some extra food. So she wants some extra food. So I slam it back, but what I do is gradually, I don't go close to them in the beginning. If they won't come up at all, I leave the baby carriage over there and then walk up to the horse till they figure it out. It has food in it. And then slowly they start to come for the food. Minnie would probably attack the baby carriage at this moment because she's never been abused. She's been treated nicely and kindly. But again, when they're young or they've been treated bad or they've had time off, they just don't understand. So lots of people post on my videos, that's stupid, dumbest thing I ever heard of. Yep. I get it. Your horse probably has never seen one, and the day it does, it might have a problem because you didn't prepare your horse. But that's fine. Everybody has their own opinions. You can do what you want to do. I can tell you I fix a lot of horses, and I get them used to things, and they usually become very brave. Okay? So it does work if you do it right. Same thing if you do this stuff at your barn or you do it at home, somebody might make fun of you, call you an idiot, say just beat the horse by it, they'll be fine. No, that's how you instill fear, not trust. So I want the horse to look to me when he sees a baby carriage. So they look to me to see what they should do. Is there food in there? Should I just stand here? What should I do? You want to be your horse's leader, because that's how it is in a natural herd. The lead mare is experienced, she's focused, she's trusting, she's usually highly sensitive and aware of all the things going around in the surroundings. And when a horse gets nervous in that herd and props its head up and its ears or it's flicking around, they look to her to know if they should be scared or not. Is this danger? Because, of course, horses are like people, and we all have our different levels of comfort, confidence, what you've been exposed to. So usually the older horses are okay, and the younger horses can be a little bit more jumpy. So, Minnie's going to attack me. So with that, you have to have patience, and the mares will show their babies what to be afraid of and what not to be afraid of. They're like, no, that guy's a jerk, but he won't hurt you, so don't worry about him. And then over time, the horses get better. So that's what you're trying to do, especially when you ride with trail obstacles. And if you get a horse from somewhere else, and you live in California or you live on busy trails, you have to know that this is your job. See, I just lifted the carriage up. to get them used to these things. So when I start far away in that horse's comfort level. Don't bring them right up to them if they're not comfortable. You know, every horse has its different comfort level. And then just slowly over time, you get them more and more used to it and get them closer to it. I use grain because most horses like grain, but you have to have a good grain. If you have a not so good grain, that's not going to work. Those German muffins usually make every horse want to go to anything because they're so yummy. So the sweeter it is, usually the more. Grain can be cheap and you can give it in little steps, so then it's usually not bad. Okay, so these two are okay, right? So with them, I'm going to rock this a little bit because somebody might do that if they're on the hiking trails, and they do take baby carriages out there on the hiking trails, and they will be going over rocks and stuff. Now this other horse, like I said, she's younger. She's not used to it, but see, she's getting braver. But I'm not going to rock it in front of her because that would be too much too fast. And he's like, I'm not afraid of anything. This horse is a little bit braver than her. He's older, but he's still a little bit unsure. No. Okay. Now, you do quickly, don't hold your hand there too much. Don't let them bite you. If he was trying to bite me or something, I would just hold the fist and be like, nope, not until you're kind, and then I would give it to him. Okay? That's how you teach them not to be grabby, or if they grab at you, just kind of bump them a little bit. Now, you can do this without food. You don't need to do it with food. You do it with what you want. You can use clicker training. You can use any of those things. Now, this horse is doing pretty good, right? So I'm going to amp it up just a little. I'm bumping it a little bit. Now he's a little bit like, well, can you get your head through? So this is the horse that's a little jumpy with stuff, right? And this is how you test them, like, what are you afraid of? Is it the objects? So I went by him, and I will in a minute, with the bike. He didn't care at all. But she said he jumps, you know, if a bike comes out or a runner or something comes up behind him. So it's probably the suddenness that he has a problem with, not the objects. So once he sees the objects enough, he's probably going to be fine. It's getting him through when it first comes out, and that means that's a horse that really needs a leader and really needs to be focused on the trail and not looking around trying to save himself. He needs a leader who's going to show him what to do. Like Minnie or Tilly would be a good leader. They're both mares. They're both brave. And they both analyze stuff. But Tilly, when she came, even though she was a good trail horse and used to bikes and stuff, was not a good leader at that point because she couldn't evaluate things. And I had to be a good leader for her, but now she can help and lead the other horses. So see now how I'm being quiet next to this mare? There are so many people who have problems with objects, and the problem is not the objects. It's the owners not helping the horses. So if your horse has a problem with this, how are they going to get good at this? You do it once a week, you do it once a month, once a year, or you just wait until you see it on the trail. And Evo's not a good listener. She just does stuff on her own. But you need to do it all the time. That's why they don't care about the hay truck, because the hay truck comes through twice a day. Okay? So if your horse is really scared, you do it as much as you can. And that should be once a day, twice a day, maybe 3 times a day to help your horse. Put the hay in it. Carry your hay on the bike. You know? They just got to get used to it. So we're going to move Pivo. If you have a Pivo, though, this is part of the problem. If the sun hits it just right, it starts acting up. Okay? So let's go over here, get this over it, hop some wheelies. Good. So he sniffed it a little bit. That's good. Can you get your nose out here? How about over here? So this guy's getting really brave, isn't he? So start out slow, start out quietly, and then over time you start acting like real people, and you be idiots, and you're talking around like, oh, whatever, take my hat off. Because that's what they're going to do. But don't do that in the beginning, because that's too much too soon. But like with Tilly, you want my hat? She's like, no, I don't want your hat. It smells. she's brave. She trusts me. We have a relationship. She's like, Gaye doesn't hurt me. She just helps me. Because I was scared. She was. She was good in groups, but she was scared alone. And Minnie was like, I'll trust you. And the more food you have, the better. So you can make them do all sorts of weird stuff. See how I made her touch my hat? So in time she'll think, oh, I touched Gay's hat when she comes up with that baby carriage. Just do different things because people are going to move around. So again, this horse, she's so much closer. And many of you would be like, oh, she's closer. Let's make it, jump it up and down. No, no, no. You do this a long time before you do stuff like that. Because that's how you teach the horse not to trust you. Because they're like, yeah, I'm trying. And you're like, well, try this. And they're like, you're nuts. And I'm not trying anything you're doing because you're scaring the hell out of me. Go boy. So you have to read the horse and know how it is doing. Okay. So this is going to be the last time for this. And then we're going to do the bike. Now you see I laid the bike down because I want them to see the bike. Oh, somebody's going to have to eat this out of here because I don't want to get rats. So let's put this here. Yes, because then if she wants to touch it and she gets curious, she can. Minnie, you don't need to touch it. Let's take your hay thing out. So this is another thing you can do. See how she's trying to touch it? Now she's not so afraid. So I was like, you know what? She thinks it's a food truck now, so I'm going to put it in her stall. You can put lots of things in their stall, but be there with them. Because horses will step on bikes and do all sorts of stuff when they're not scared anymore. And then, if they weren't afraid of bikes, but the bike attacks them because it gets stuck on their leg, you can injure them and scare them. So here we go, Georgia. Now she might get scared as I bring this in, so I'm trying to do it slowly. And now, I'm going to put it where Minnie hopefully cannot reach it, but she'll show Georgia, like, you don't need to be afraid of that. That's an okay thing. And then, let's just watch Georgia go up to it. Georgia's a smart horse. She hasn't been hurt, but she's young, and you got to know that. A young horse is not seeing everything. Now, she might scare herself, but as long as I'm not attached to that thing, she'll know it's not me doing it. Or when a person is pushing that it's okay. So you just saw a horse go from, I'm going to stand over here so it sees us. You saw a horse go from being somewhat unsure of something within minutes, putting its head in the unsure thing. So her friends are telling her, don't be worried of that, just give me some. And she's like, no. See, now, this is great, because now they're fighting over the baby carriage she was just afraid of. So that's how mares tell each other, don't touch my food. This is my food. This is normal behavior. Mares scream a little bit more. No kidding. They're just like women, right? We're screamers. So the mares scream more at each other and kick more at each other. You've heard of the bee slap, right? And then what do men do more? They try to overpower each other and they fight more. So if this was two geldings here, they might be kicking at each other, biting each other, or fighting over the bars to get to that. But what I want you to see is how quickly a horse can go from fearful to trusting if you do it right. And how quickly they can go from trusting to fearful, which I'm not going to show you because all these horses are in training, within minutes as well, right? He's like, yeah, that's what happened to me. So each horse has a different sensitivity when you're working with them. Some are very dull. Those are usually more the bomb-proof horses. Some are very sensitive, and some are in between there. The hard part, when you buy these horses online, you don't go see them, you don't know what is their sensitivity level. The horses that are sensitive, you have to be patient. You have to not push them too hard, too fast, or that you will lose your trust on them. And you need to take your time and build it in steps gradually. Every time that horse tries, you need to reward it. Because if it tries and you don't catch it, that horse will get frustrated, upset, and that's when they start acting out. You told me to do something. I did it. I did it 20 times, and you didn't tell me that was right. These guys are hilarious. Mirrors are funny if you just understand them. They're not doing anything bad. She's just screaming, don't take my stuff. She's a child, and she's a child in an adult's body. But Minnie's hilarious. And this is great for Georgia to be next to her with Minnie trying to get the baby carriage, because then she understands like there's nothing to worry about. So, back to the sensitivity level. When the horse tries, reward them. If they're sensitive, go very slow. This is on the ground. This is leading them. This is leading them on the trail or riding them. Slow, and you need to be a pretty good horseman, because lots of people are buying these horses online. People don't understand that they should check the sensitivity of the horse, or the sellers fake it, or maybe drug the horse so you don't know it's sensitive, and it arrives and you think it's crazy. Maybe it's not crazy. Most likely it's not. It is just sensitive and you don't know what you're doing. So you're confusing it and scaring it. Sensitive horses need good leaders, they need good horsemen, and they need people with experience, and they will excel. They will be the best, most extraordinary horses out there because they pick up things very fast and they're very sensitive. Right? That's him. So is Tilly. Minnie just stole the baby carriage. Now Minnie would kill the baby, where Georgia would probably lick it. So probably the grain's gone, because that's probably the reason Georgia gave it up. She's like, here, my friend, you can have one little piece. So let me check with what's going on here. So when you're exposing animals and exposing horses and you're trying to get, there's a couple more. I can help you. So see, now I pulled the towel out of here. Here, Minnie, because you were helpful. So when you're exposing horses and doing things, you got to realize the horses that are dull, not sensitive, those are the more bomb-proof ones, you can push faster. Somebody can take a horse out of the field, saddle break it if it's very calm and dull, and make it look like it's a pretty well-trained horse in 3 months. It has 3 months under saddle. That's why it might have issues later on. So you got to be careful. But a horse that is sensitive is much more difficult to do that with. And so you have to realize the difference in those horses. Now, the sensitive horse might do everything for that experienced person who's on the horse's back in that video. It might do some crazy stuff, and you're like, that horse is really well trained. It is well trained for that person because it trusts that person, okay? And that person understands how to handle it. But when that's good, they knocked it over now. But when you handle it and you don't know what you're doing, give it all the wrong cues and confuse that horse is going to start acting up, having bad behaviors, bolting, rearing, bucking, breaking the halter, pulling back. All those things are going to come out just because you don't understand what they sold you, and they don't care what they sold you because it's all about the money. And that's why $3,000 horses are going for $15,000 horses, because people don't understand what they're buying. So now they're mauling the baby and messing with it. So now I know they're not afraid of it, so let's move on. Let's move on to the bike so I can show you. Now, yes, my videos can be long, but how can I teach the world what to do with you guys if I don't make them long enough that you see things like this? So next is the bike. Okay? So with the bike, some of them are a little bit more scared because they've never seen the bikes. And that means that they weren't exposed to it. Or if they were exposed to it, it was not a good experience. It was a bike going down the trail trying to run them over. That's not how you get horses over bikes. You get horses over bikes by working them every day with it. And then when that occasional crazy biker comes, sure, they still might spook. Of course they will. Don't you jump out of the road when a crazy driver comes at you, but you're not afraid of all cars. You're just afraid of the crazy drivers. So I do the same thing, just use a little food. Here. Really don't see so well. and give it to him, and just start out slowly. Now, if the horse was really scared, I would get off the bike, leave it far away, and go up to the horse, and show him that food is associated with it. So Georgia here was nervous because she hadn't seen bikes, but look at her now. Okay? And then this guy over here was a little nervous, but not as bad. So you start with the bike far away, but walking over, giving the food without the bike, and then in time, as they get more comfortable, look who's waiting for me, then you bring it closer and closer. So with something like this, if they're getting better and they're not as scared, no, go this way. Get them to touch the bike. And then, again, if you're doing clicker training, you could click it. You're trying to show them that the bike, if they touch it and they're not scared, they get a reward. When they're better, then I start ringing the bell. So again, do it all gradually in steps. And I might just do that walking like I'm walking with it for a while. And then, in time, the bell means food. But in time, can't tell if that camera is on me or not, I'm going to start riding. And then, once they're used to that, I go faster and faster. See, she got a little nervous there, and that's okay. That is normal behavior, okay? Here, why don't you come down here? Oh, see, she just touched the bike. If you get the horse to touch something and they don't die, they start to realize it's okay. So, do you want to touch the bike? He's like, I'm not so sure. This horse is more sensitive. He's super smart. He's just a little unsure. Okay. So if in the beginning, ring the bell when you're away, just so they hear it, or ring that bell at dinner time. But ring it, get them used to it. Oh, you touched the bell. He's like, hey, I got this. Then, again, that might take weeks to get to that point with your horse. Then you start riding the bike by them. Once they can tolerate that, and you stop and give them food, then you go faster and faster. Once they can tolerate that, start jumping the bike around, but do it away from them. This time I'm just going to ride by, Tilly. So ride by when they're eating their hay, when they're eating their grain, when they're doing things that they enjoy. Look, they're all looking for me. And then they want you to come to them, right? And then I'll do things like even throw their food in there. So since Minnie and Tilly don't care about the bike at all, and they're pretty good trail horses, what I'm going to do is get a handful and just throw their food. But the other ones I'm going to stop, because throwing the food and going by with a bike might scare them. Here. Here, Minnie. Now see, every time I come over, she might be scared. This is normal. And that's what I try to explain to you, people getting the horses from Kentucky and Tennessee. Like, hey, it's probably never seen a bike. You got bike on turn? They go, yeah, that horse will be fine. Look how calm he is. Yeah, look how calm he is in the woods, riding with a group of horses with no bikes. Okay, have a nice horse. Good luck with that, because they don't understand at all, do they? So, now so I was doing this before, so I'm not going to do it as long. But what I am going to do is bring the bike into Georgia's stall, because she's the youngest, and she's the one who's having the most issues with it. But again, once they can touch things and be curious and see it's not going to murder them, they get much braver. Minnie's like, why don't I be afraid? Because then I would get all this food. Okay. So here we go. Camera's still on us. All right, watch out. Now see, she was afraid of the bike. Now she's like, oh, this game again. Now, you never put a bike in here without you being nearby. And if possible, put the tires away, because horses will paw at stuff they don't know about. And what will they do? They'll catch their foot, and if they have a shoe, of course they're going to stick it in the spokes, because horses are trying to kill themselves every day. So I'm going to let Minnie touch stuff. Then I'm going to stay here so this horse is okay. So if it starts getting into stuff, I want them to smell the tires, but if they start to try to, I don't mind if they push the bike, but if they start to act like they're going to paw, I'm going to move the bike around, but still keep it in there. I just don't want their feet to be caught. So that's part of being a leader, is keeping them safe, showing them things, but showing them there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way. Okay? It's my job to keep them safe. And if I keep them safe around this object, guess what? When they see this object and they are scared, they're going to look to me for help. Okay. So now a horse that didn't want to touch a bike is touching the bike. Okay. So I'm going to close it, but keep it unlocked so I can get in there, because I can't tell if the camera is focusing on it. You weren't as scared, but maybe you can have the bike tomorrow. Okay? So this is simple things, but nobody breaks it down, because nobody really, well, not nobody, but a lot of people don't understand horse behavior, that they're prey animals, not predators. Watch my podcast. That they're herd animals, what that means. But if you do, you can quickly start doing things like this. So I could take this bike and make a video and show you this horse is not afraid of bikes. But that's not right, because she's only done it a couple of times. She needs to be exposed over and over. But that's what they do at many sales barns, okay, is they do quick stuff like that. So you got to make sure, like, are they really not afraid? So, you see, I'm keeping my eye on her. Now, you might think I'm micromanaging. No, this is what a leader does. I want to make sure she doesn't get hurt. So I want her to investigate everything, but I want to make sure it's okay. So I'm going to move it a little bit and put the tires a little bit more outside of where the food is. And you know, bikers, if you're from California, you know, right, when you get up there with your horse, what they do? Oh, they flip their bike over, they turn it, they let the air out, they do salt with the pedals, and when you say don't move, what do? They move right when you're going by. How's it going? Nice to see you. Oh, my glasses hurt. Oh, or they trip and fall down. They do it right next to your horse, scare the hell out of your horse. So your horse has to see that people are klutz and idiots, so act like that around your horse, and get them used to things at home, not on the trail. Your horse is afraid of bikes, you go buy a bike, you don't have one. Don't go steal one. Your horse is afraid of hiking sticks, you get hiking sticks. You walk with hiking sticks every day, with that horse, around that horse, with the food. They're afraid of baby carriage, you get baby carriage. They're afraid of balloons, balloons go on the hay truck, okay? It's really not that hard, but it's hard for people because people don't put the time in. They don't do the steps. They try to overpower the horse. They instill fear instead of trust into the horse, and that's how they do it, by doing things too quick. Look at him. He's like, can I have the bike tomorrow? Because the bike has food, and who doesn't love food, okay? Now, if your horse is not food motivated, then you got a problem. Then you got to do this a different way. But you got to do something the horse likes. So maybe your horse likes scratches. Most horses are really scratchy on the right side of their neck. So you scratch them on the right side of their neck when they touch the bike. You do something nice for them, they will do something great for you. That's the difference between horses. All we have to do is be kind, nice, do it in steps, be patient. They're great for us. Carry us all day. They'll carry us till they drop dead. He's like, I won't, but many of them will, okay? And that's an issue because people take advantage of that and do stuff like that. They ride them when they're too hot, they ride them too far, and then the horses get metabolic problems or just drop dead because they rode them into the ground. That's where that saying comes from. So know that if you just do it in steps, break it down, build that horse's trust, that horse won't care about much at all. But you got to do it right. So now I'm going to pick the bike back up. She might get scared, and that's okay. But she's like, yeah, there's not enough grain around it anymore that I'm interested in it. So I'm going to pick the bike back up because that's what people do. See how she's not freaking out? But if I did that when I first started, she would have freaked out. So I'm going to do this as many days as I can till the horse is comfortable, and then do it at least a couple of times a week. And then once the horse is good, then do it maybe once a week. and really get experience on that horse. That's good experience, not bad experience.
So this guy got so brave, he just stepped on the tire, so that's why I put the tire up. Don't want it to pop under him. And you're just trying to get him used to it. But now he's not by the bike at all, so I'm going to put it a little closer. It's got to be a gross bike because you see I'm sticking in the mud, because the point is I don't care about the bike, I care about the horse. Oh, here he comes. Let's get rid of that. He came over, investigated, he actually spun the wheel, but it was making me nervous. I didn't want him to do too much because, again, you don't want him to get hurt. And they will stick their feet right in those spokes, so you got to be very careful. They do something like that and you're there, they associate that lady let me get hurt. She knew what was going on, and she's not trustworthy because she didn't tell me to do the right thing. So you're just like their mom. You're trying to be like, yes, you can go that far. No, don't do that. That'll get you in trouble. You don't want them to find that out by themselves because, again, we don't want them to get hurt. Wrap them in bubble wrap if I could, because they're constantly trying to kill themselves. But the more you teach them, the calmer they will be, the smarter they will be, because you're giving them experience to know what to do and what not to do. They're safer if they don't have shoes on in case they do something, because shoes get caught and things like that. Because see, if he had a halter on, it might catch on that seat, and then it could be hooked to him, and then that would be a accident happening. The bike would hit him in the head, he would bolt, run into the fence, probably try to bash through the fence and possibly kill himself. So you have to think all the safety things. What are the worst things the horse could do if I did this to him? And make sure you keep them as safe as you can. Or if they're getting too brave and they start pawing, you take that bike out of there or move it. Put the baby carriage in there. See how quick that went? Seconds. It wasn't even a minute before he's like, oh yeah, that thing had the food in it. I guess I get my food out of here. Same thing, no halters. Stay by them. Keep the gate unlocked so you can get in there immediately. Let's see if he pulls the towel out. This is how you know when horses are smart. I put the food on the towel, so he might pull the towel out and get to the food, or maybe he already did that. And keep breathing, because if you tense up, they think you're going to do something to them. So see, the carriage is moving. Guess who doesn't care? It's not my fault if your horse becomes so brave he doesn't care about a thing, and you wanted a spooky horse instead of a bomb-proof horse. And don't follow my directions. Did you pull the towel? Oh, you did. You're smart enough to just move the towel. See? And she's over there watching him, but she could care less now. She's like, when you're done, pass me the carriage. Really not that hard. People sell these things. This is a dog carriage. This isn't even a baby carriage. And people sell this stuff all the time cheap on Craigslist and other sites. Everything is when the horse can't find any food anymore, it usually chucks the bucket out, lifts the bucket up, looks for food, and that's what happened when it was over in Georgia. So let's see if he knocks this over. Because when he runs out of food, that should be the next thing, is to try to shake it up and see if any more food comes out. He's getting rougher. Like I said, now he's looking for more. And just like that, no longer worried about baby carriages, just food.
And that's how you build trust instead of fear. Hope that helps.